Oh, look at the dress that I made from the sewing pattern. I think it looks so good. I just learned how to do an invincible zipper. I think it looks so good. Like, I almost wish I just made this dress and just moved on because I loved it. This is going to be my summer dress. In fact, I'm going to make a dress just like this when I'm done with my Olandria dress. I'm going to remake this dress again a third time. I love it that much. So the one thing though to note is that so this is the model, right? So I made this A version, but without the flare on the shoulder. And actually, I thought that the dress was gonna end up being about knee length on me, but I guess because I'm tall, you can see that it's a little bit higher than knee length. Now the problem is that I cut my godet to be knee length, so my godet is gonna end up oh yeah, and this is very loose, so I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I'm gonna have to figure that out. So my godet is gonna be maybe about 4 inches below my waist, so somewhere around here. But you can see that the godet is a little longer than my dress length, so I'm going to have to trim the bottom of it. Now the other thing too, I was thinking about, y'all, because I did mess up. I cut the godet on the sewing pattern I made for a skirt. I should have cut the godet using this dress measurements. Ignore the hole. So I think I messed up there. I'm hoping it still works. We're just gonna have to see. So the idea is that this is my front. I'm gonna stitch that's the hip line. I did have to check which one was the hip and which one was the front. My plan is to stitch the two hip pieces together, the two godet pieces together at the hip, and then after that I'm going to attach this to this front princess seam and the back to the back princess seam. So the one thing I'm thinking, I don't know if it's going to be flare enough. I'm worried about that, but it looks so good, y'all. Like, it looks so good. So I'm gonna attach it and see, but I did buy tulle. I didn't want to do that. I was gonna be lazy, but my sewing instructor who was helping me with this said that Olandria might have had tulle on their hairs, so I did buy tulle just in case when I stitch it on my actual fabric it doesn't work. So we will see, but I'm gonna do it on this one first. So for this, the idea is, so this was the pattern that I made in class. So this is actually my skirt pattern I made in class. This is the front piece, this is the back piece. It's not complete yet. I needed to like cut it for the down the middle for the princess seam, but there was no point in doing that since I was actually not gonna make the skirt. This is my front piece, so I'm gonna line it up here, and I'm gonna follow. So you can see like this one is longer, right? Because I thought I was making a knee length. I thought I was making a knee length. So I'm gonna have to just make that shorter. But I'm just gonna mark where my 4 inches for my waist is. So this is my waist, right? So here, so this is my waist. So here, I'm just gonna slice this curve to meet my princess seam. So as you can see, yeah, that's not gonna work, is it? Wait, let me see. Actually, let me do it properly. I don't know, that's my hip around, that's my waist, that's my hip around here. So actually it's not that bad, it's not that far off from my princess seam. This one is just a little bit closer to the center front. And actually the reason why it could have been perfect, actually, that's crazy. Because like I made this pattern using a skirt block in sewing class, right? So the fact that it's very nearly fitting this is like miraculous. That's how you know the universe has aligned everything together for it to work out okay. Now this might have actually been perfect, but the skirt, I had to make the dress a little bit bigger because it was too tight. So the seam for this dress was like a 5/8 inch. And honestly, I knew it was gonna happen because like I did a size 8, but I know that my waist was not the waist of a size 8. And is my hip even the hip of a size 8? But I was being lazy, and this is why it pays to not be lazy. So my waist is actually more of a 26. So my waist was like a size 12, and my hip was also a size 12, right? But my bust was a size 8, and I didn't want to make a bust that was too big. Now I should have probably manipulated the pattern to trace it so that my 8 went into my 12, but I was lazy and it was late at night. So what I then did was, thankfully, the seam allowance was 5/8. So all I did was just take out the seam allowance on both sides, and I just made them a 3/8. And now we fit. So that's why this is not exactly perfect. So, but I think it's close enough that I could probably still work with this. I think it's going to be fine. So that's the plan. I'm going to trace this on my fabric, and then I'm going to cut it out, and then I'm going to stitch those together and add it. I've never done a bodice before, so I am very nervous. Okay, I am very nervous. So we're going to see what happens. So we're going to see how that happens. Now the other thing too is, where's my phone? Olandria's dress has flowers in the front. Can y'all see that? And I've looked at this picture like a million times, but then in sewing class it occurred to me, looking at it again, that the flowers are made of ropes. Because I've been thinking, like, how am I gonna make these flowers, y'all? Like, I was not even thinking I could even make it exactly like this, because at first I thought that they used some kind of like a iron, you know, those like bendy iron that you use for jewelry making. So that's what I thought they used, or something else like that. But then I don't know, my eyes cleared. The wool fell out of my eyes, and I realized that it is ropes. It is fabric ropes, which is actually more accessible and in some ways easier, because it's just a bunch of ropes that you just like fold into a flower. It's easy, but I hate making ropes. I hate making ropes. And I have a cheat code for making ropes where I don't have to do the whole turning thing. But that's not going to work here, because this has to be rounded and it has to be clean. It can't, so I'm gonna suffer for Olandria and for fashion. I will be suffering to make these ropes. Pray for me, because I don't know. Like, I don't even know. I'm like, can I like buy ropes? Can I go? You know what? I'm gonna go on Amazon and see if I can buy ropes. I'm not even joking. I'm gonna go on Amazon. The only problem is that the ropes will not match my fabric. No, it's fine. It can be different. I'm gonna go and see if I can find already made ropes in these colors, in the colors of my fabric. And if I cannot, then I will be suffering, okay? So that's it. That is it for the dress. So in terms of like the strap of the dress, Olandria's is like very like thin, and so I need to like try and reduce this a bit. I might not make it this thin, but I do need to try and reduce it a bit to be thinner than what it is right now. And so what I'm thinking I'm gonna do, so this is the front piece, and so I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm trying to see where do I need to reduce this. I'm thinking I'm going to reduce it in the front. That makes the most sense. And this is actually made out of 5/8 seam allowance, so it's not actually going to be as thick as this. By the time you like add the lining, because this has a lining piece, it's not going to be as like thin as this. And so what I did first is that I just measured like where the 5/8 is going to be. So here and here, so we're going to be left with about, what is that? By the time we take out the 5/8, the actual strap would be one inch and what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's like 1.5 inches basically. 1.5 inches is probably still too thick, so I was like, okay, let me take another 5/8. So if I take another 5/8, now we're here, and I think that this is gonna be better. So this is what, about 1 inch 1/8. It's thin. It's not as thin as Olandria's, but it's still thin. So I think that that will be better than how thick this one is. So basically, I'm only gonna take out 5/8, right? Because by the time I do the hemming, 5/8 will be gone, 5/8 will be gone, and I'll only be left with this 1 inch thick strap. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna just measure 5/8, because I said I'm taking it away from the front of the dress. Is that even a good idea? Because when I was wearing my strap, it kept on falling off the shoulder. Because Because now I'm wondering, like, is that even a good idea to take it off only from the front? Like, should I, if I take some off the back too? But then again, though, by the time I hem it, some will be taken off the back anyways. So it might be fine. Not what I should have done anyways. Maybe I should have just hemmed this around the shoulder and then put it on and see what it looks like. What do you guys think? Oh, it's just gonna be a lot of work. And it's just, you know what? Actually, don't even need to hem it. Where my scissors at? That's why I've got scissors, y'all. That is why I've got scissors. So I think it might be useful for me to just pretend that I'm cutting off the probably will start somewhere around here. Let's just pretend. If I cut this off here and I go here and I cut this off here, let me see, can I line this up somehow? Yes, I can, so that I don't have to cut two different pieces. I wish I brought my pins with me. Oh, ouch. Stomach hurts. Yeah, I think like here. And this is why it's good to, like, even though it's a lot of work, this is why it's helpful to, I'm just gonna eyeball it right now, to make this on fake fabric, test fabric first, because you got to play around with it and actually see what it could look like before you actually make your changes. Otherwise, like, and then from this we're taking 5/8 plus 5/8, which is whatever that is. I don't know what is 5/8 plus 5/8. Don't make me do math. So that's one. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 1 and what's this? 1 1/4. There you go. It is 1 1/4. Yeah, learning how to do math is very important for sewing. Okay, and I was actually pretty good in math at school, but I lost a lot of my math since I am no longer in school. So, like I did with this other one, I'm just gonna just like play and just start somewhere around here. Oh wait, where am I? Okay, I'm just gonna curve it like that. This is just a test. Okay, that already looks sexier. Yeah. So that's it. Ooh, I forgot about that. I forgot about this. What should I use? Safety pin. Let me go find a safety pin. Okay. So, we're just gonna safety pin that back together. I forgot that that was gonna probably slice off. Okay, I'm gonna try this on. I already did one side. I'm gonna try it on, and if that looks good just looking at it, right? So if that looks good on my body, then we are good to go. Okay, so here we are. I think that looks really good. Look at this, is a thick one. This is a thin one. I think that that is thin enough. But I don't know if you noticed that we still have the drooping problem. So I think what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna actually shift. I'm gonna keep the front where it is, but I'm gonna shift the back. So you remember I cut 1 1/4 away from the front. Well, I cut 1 1/4 away from the front, right? So instead of doing it from the front, I'm gonna cut 1 1/4 away from the back, and like maybe this will actually stay on my shoulder better. Because I actually have a dress similar to this. Same issue, the shoulder straps always falls down, so it might just be my own shoulder blades as opposed to anything else. I don't think it's my sewing. I think it's just my shoulder blades are just not, just need special help. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is So this is one I just did that the shoulder straps is still falling off. So I'm just gonna do the same. I'm gonna practice it before I decide. I'm glad I did this because I literally almost cut that paper out, yo. I was so confident and I almost cut this out. And then I thought about it. In sewing, you always have to think about every decision you make. If I do this, what would happen? If I do this, what would happen? If you don't think about what would happen, you just end up making mistakes. And if I had cut it out, I would have worn the dress just like that. Letting it fall down my shoulders, knowing myself, I would have worn the dress just like that. Okay, so we're gonna go from the back instead. So I'm gonna start somewhere around here. Yeah, because what I'm now seeing too is that if I start from the back, and that was why I was gonna do it from the front, because from the front, I joined this yoke front to the, what do you call this piece? Bodice front. See right here, and that's why I did it from the front so it wouldn't affect this. But if I do it from here, it's gonna be affected because I'm gonna have to literally slice. There you go. I'm gonna have to slice this also. Yeah, see what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm gonna have to slice this yoke front also, but let's figure that out later. So I'm trying to think what is smart to do. Because I want to slice, because I have to slice this at the 1/4 to try it on. But if it does work, I'm only going to slice this at a 5/8, right? Because I'm going to take away 5/8 from the seam allowance. But on the good note, I did cut this back piece already at a 5/8. So I could probably just use this as a back piece. Use this other one I already cut to trace the yoke. To trace this yoke and front piece. I don't know if anything I'm saying actually makes sense to anybody else. Even if I rewatch this back myself, I wonder if it will actually make any sense to me. In my brain, I know what I'm trying to do, but communication is not my strong point. Okay, so we're gonna go 1. I know this is not 1. If you can look at that, I know that's 11, but I know what I'm doing. 1/4. That's 1/4. And then another 1/4 right here. Another 1/4 right here. So we're gonna slice it. The normal thing to do would be to use a curved ruler, which I do actually own. Might not be always, but I do own a curved ruler. But we're not gonna do all of that work right now. I'm gonna save that for when I do my pattern piece. So we're gonna slice it like that. Yes. Look at that, beautiful. And then we're gonna take out 5/8 from the front. Do we want to take out 5/8 from the front? Yes, we have to take out 5/8 from the front, regardless, because we're not taking out the 5/8. The 5 is gonna go away because of the seam allowance. So I'm just pretending that I'm doing the seam allowance, but I did not do. So I'm just gonna cut it out to pretend that we do the seam allowance, if that makes sense. Where's my 5/8? Oh yes, this is my 5/8. This is why this is not a tutorial, yo. This is not a tutorial. I don't do tutorials, yo. I'm a beginner. I'm trying to learn. I'm just trying to show you guys what my own thinking process of how I'm doing this. Because maybe you also want to learn how to make something like this. And maybe this will help you figure it out, you know. So this is, and also I'm doing this for my future self. Because who knows, maybe one day I want to make something like this again. I want to remember how it is that I did this the first time. Perfecto. Okay. Before I do that, let me safety pin this. Find a nice small safety pin. Safety pins have become one of my favorite sewing tools, y'all. Safety pin it. Let me safety pin this one too. Okay, let's try now. Okay, your dress is worn. Look at that. It's definitely staying on my shoulder a bit better. I think once I stitch it, it might be a bit more secure, but it's definitely staying on better this way than the way I had it before. The other thing is, like, as you can see, this dress is actually pretty tight, and I was just thinking, looking when I was looking back at my instructions and trying to figure out where it is I'm going to adjust for this Olandria type dress. I remember this dress is supposed to have a lining, so I didn't make this one with a lining because it's a test dress, but I'm going to make the real dress with a lining, and because the lining is going to be more fabric underneath it, but this dress is already tight enough. And so what I'm going to do, instead of stitching, you see this, all of these, I'm not going to stitch with a 5/8 seam allowance. I'm going to stitch all of them with a 3/8 seam allowance. So this one right now is a 3/8 because it was too tight, so it had to be 3/8. So I'm going to do this one a 3/8 also, and I'm going to do the one in the back a 3/8 also. And then except for the zipper, I think I'm going to leave the zipper the way it is, but I'll do everything else 3/8, and hopefully the lining will be able to fit underneath the dress. Fingers crossed. So yeah, that's the idea. Oh, and the other thing too I forgot to mention is that you can see that the front of this dress has a rope. It has a rope tie. So as opposed to doing a rope tie on my actual dress, I'm going to replace this rope with my first flower. So my first flower is going to basically hold this two pieces together, and then I'll still have this keyhole moment here. That's fine because the first flower is going to cover it, and then I'll do the rest of my flowers all the way down like her picture does it. So that's that. I think that's what I have to share with you guys. For now, I'm going to go ahead and slice off this side, and then do you guys want to try show you how I'm slicing it up? Why not? I'm here. Why not? I'll show you guys how I'm slicing up the sides. And then, so the sewing patterns, I just basically like taped the two pieces together because I already said I'm gonna have to cut this also. So I'm thinking I'm gonna cut it from somewhere around here to move up here. So this is the back, right? Because I said I'm cutting just the back, and I'm only cutting 5/8 out because I'm going to lose the other 5/8 and 5/8 in seam allowance, so we don't need to actually cut those out. So we're just going to measure 5/8, just similar to how I did on the fabric. This is where we at. So this is my curved ruler. So I'm just gonna take this bottom part and I'm just going to trace it to meet my first mark. There we go. This is what I'm doing. Do it however it makes sense to you, honestly. There's no like, I feel like there's really, as long as it's smooth, you know, and it connects, there's no right or wrong reason to it. So there's no real right or wrong. That's my mark, right? Okay. Maybe I should have used a different curved ruler. Maybe that's the only right or wrong. No, actually, I got it. You just have to manipulate your curved ruler to get to where you want to be. Yeah, there you go. Manipulate that curved ruler. Okay, there we go. And then the next thing is to, oh, that's my fabric scissors. Snip, snip. Oh, was there a notch here? No, there was not a notch. It's just me. I just wrote to my paper. Because if there was a notch, then I'll have to account and put the notch back. But thankfully, no notches. Yeah, so you're just going to cut. There is a dot here, though. So, and there was probably a reason for that dot. So I'm just gonna say I'm just gonna redraw the dot. Dot. Should use a pen for that so that it can show. So I can show well. So there was a dot here. Dot. Yes, so that's, I remember that. So it's probably a reason for the dot that I don't remember because I didn't when I was stitching my test fabric. I think the reason why I keep saying test fabric because I forgot the name of this fabric because that's what I do. I forget names of things all the time. Yeah, and that's it. It's gone. We don't need any more. And then I'm just going to try and carefully take out this paper tape so that I do not rip my pattern paper. Carefully. Oh, I already ripped something. I have ripped something. Okay, carefully. Okay, so that's it. Pattern manipulated. I have a trash somewhere around here. Yep, and that's that. So that's gonna be my new piece for my area. Yes. So the next thing I want to show you guys is how I'm gonna figure out my gode